Because a little known story about McGovern, when he left Congress, when he was done running for president, the bright lights of politics had turned off, one of his dreams was to open up his own business, a little bed and breakfast up in the New England area. So McGovern takes a chunk of his life savings, he goes up to New England to open up his bed and breakfast. He has these visions of having people welcoming into his bed and breakfast, taking care of them, talking with them all day long, what's going on in your lives, a little conference room in the back so he can host people. Funny thing is, a few years later he was out of business. And McGovern said, if I'd have owned my own business before I went to Congress, I would have voted entirely differently. Because he didn't realize that all of those years of adding rules and regulations and burdensome taxes onto the small business owner was actually crippling them. It wasn't helping them to be successful. And frankly, it put him out of business. He didn't have the internal strength that most small business owners have as we fight through it on a daily basis. Because we have to. The single most oppressive force to the creation of jobs and wealth in this country is the government. But McGovern didn't have the stomach to see it through. And it's interesting because I've also been on the Board of Regents for the last 10.5 years, and I've been fighting these battles. Because in my mind, where the seeds of taking over in Washington, getting involved in our personal lives, of taking our freedoms away from us, where it originates in our educational system. It originates on college campuses around this country. It doesn't matter if it's the University of Colorado or Harvard or Princeton or Texas. Our sons and daughters are being indoctrinated on college campuses. Part of the reason I ran for the Board of Regents was because I ran in 1998 for the very first time. I graduated college in 1992. And I remembered that economics professor who, over the course of the semester, as the formulas got more and more complicated, would put his charts up there, and finally, one day the light bulb went off over my head. And I raised my hand and I said, "You're advocating for the redistribution of wealth." Now, mind you, this was macroeconomics for liberal arts majors, not for business majors. So we had a bunch of psychology students in there, sociology students, ethnic studies students, women's studies students in here, political science studies students in this room, who were going to graduate from college and have these theories. These weren't people who were going to go open small businesses and create jobs. So I asked him, "You're advocating for the redistribution of wealth?" And he said, "Absolutely. Because you can see from the modeling and the charts and the graphs, too much wealth concentrated in the hands of a few individuals is bad for society. You take that money away from them and you give it to the people who truly need it so that they can pay their bills, put food on the table, because they're the ones who will spend the money. And society's at its best in serving its most utilitarian purpose for everyone when it's functioning like that." That's why I got involved.